Good morning and welcome. I am joined by two of the people really on the front lines of the work that is being done around self-sovereign digital identity. Nick Price was CIO and CTO at Mandarin Oriental Hotel Group, then founded Netsys Technology, and since February, he has also been the informal chair of the Hospitality and Travel Special Interest Group within the Decentralized Identity Foundation. Nick, welcome.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
And Jamie Smith is Senior Director of Business Development at Evernym, a leading developer of systems to enable decentralized digital ID, maybe best known as the technology provider behind IATA's Travel Pass. And just last week, Evernym was acquired by Avast, a global cybersecurity firm. Welcome, Jamie.
Thanks very much for having me.
So, Nick, we spoke in August, very lengthy, detailed conversation. Really appreciated your insights on this topic. I encourage anyone listening who has not read that interview to do so on PhocusWire. One of the primary benefits that we briefly discussed then is better security for personally identifiable information. Can you just get us started by briefly running through some of the ways decentralized ID is inherently more secure?
Yes, I can. I'll try and be succinct because there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, the model is different. That's what we have to remember here. What is the existing model? The existing model is that corporations largely collect large, relatively detailed but fairly inaccurate information about the customer. And try and triangulate the customer when they see the customer in the sales funnel and say, well, that's Nick, let's apply this information. And the problem is the information isn't sufficiently accurate, particularly in travel and hospitality. It's extremely inaccurate, and it makes it very, very difficult to use well. The customer suffers because of it, but it equally creates a honeypot, a significant target for the bad guys out there to steal customer information. So in SSI, we do things very differently. The information is in control of the traveler at all times. It is limited in the amount of information that is shared. We have a thing called selective disclosure that can allow elements of a customer's information to be presented. And the important thing is that the receiving party can verify that this is exactly the person they're talking to, and the customer can verify this is the company they're talking to. So it's cryptographically proven that you don't have somebody in the middle. So that's really good. So minimizing the amount of information that corporations need to capture, because they're receiving with each engagement, with each conversation, with each message, they can receive the up-to-date information that they need. Why would they bother to store it?
Right. Okay. So we're getting rid of those massive databases potentially that, as you said, are kind of that honeypot for hackers, putting the control back in the hands of, in our use case, the traveler. Jamie, I know the IATA Travel Pass is a digital credential solution being used right now for verifying travel and health documents. In effect, COVID has created a bit of a perfect test case for the technology, I suppose. There are certainly other ways, though, that it could be used, and that a self-sovereign ID can be used just to improve the travel experience. Can you help us understand some of those possibilities?
Yeah, absolutely. And as Nick said, we're moving from a world where really almost like the master data record, rather than living with the organization, can live with the individual. So imagine putting all the information I carry around in my traveler wallet or my purse, and I put that on my phone, or I put that in a trusted place in the cloud. And that means I can now share that. And when the data is received, it can be verified instantly. And we know who it was given to, where it's come from, if it's been revoked, if it's been changed. And that changes the whole dynamic and changes the range of use cases that become possible. So as we see with the IATA Travel Pass, well, I've got my passport and my boarding pass, maybe my COVID vaccination status. But as you highlight, well, I can now share that with the car rental company. And I could share that with the hotel organization. I could share it with the taxi firm. I could share it with the restaurant that I'm in the city I'm staying for the weekend. So the opportunities become limitless. And in the last conversation we were talking about, there's reward schemes across the travel and hospitality sector, but loyalty, not so much. And I think what becomes really powerful here is when the individual can now connect and share data about themselves privately, securely, and one of those technical terms, peer-to-peer. It means it's just me and the restaurant I'm sharing data with. It's just me and the hotel. And when the hotel wants to contact me, they can do so directly. There's no WhatsApp in the middle. There's no even email provider in the middle. It's just me and them. And that creates an explosion of opportunities to share new value, to create new business models, as well as privacy, security, and scalability, which is, as Nick said, is really exciting.
So maybe to help make some of this even a little bit more concrete for our viewers, can you share some of the use cases that are in development right now? Either of you or both of you.
Please, Nick, well, you go ahead.
Yes, certainly. Well, we've of course, in our last conversation, we highlighted 4 that we were working on at that point, and they have now been published. They're on the website of the Hospitality and Travel SIG under DIF. But we're now working really focusing in on a very, very important area, which is the area of seamless travel for the customer, and trying to make that a frictionless and value-added experience for all the participants throughout the travel journey. And that includes the providers of travel experiences, and as well as the consumers of travel experiences. So we have a broad seamless travel use case underway, but as part of that, we're also doing some interesting things. So we're also looking at self-sovereign identity for things as opposed to just individuals or businesses. And one of the things we're looking at is baggage, for example, which is a very interesting value-added contributor to a seamless travel experience if you can get it right. We're also currently developing some very good work around car and mobility rental. And as a backdrop to seamless travel, Jamie highlighted it in his earlier conversation around COVID credentials or health credentials. And we have an ongoing relationship with the Good Health Pass Collaborative, and some of the work that we're doing in seamless travel will actually make its way there, and we'll find it a vehicle to be published under Good Health Pass.
Well, yeah, that baggage example is kind of interesting, and maybe just briefly a little bit more on that. So in effect, a piece of luggage moving through the travel journey would be given an ID?
Yeah, possibly. It certainly could be. And I think you start from the perspective of saying, well, why do I schlep bags around? No, it's not a very pleasant thing to do. And if I didn't have to, if they could be picked up at my home, and I suddenly found them in my hotel room when I arrived, wouldn't that be better for everybody? And that's the kind of use case that we're talking about. Is where it's better for the individual, better for the providers, and it fundamentally changes the model, and it changes the economics, and it provides business opportunity for new ways of engaging and supporting the travel experience, and new companies to emerge.
And if I'm understanding correctly, and Jamie, maybe you can answer this. So, for example, the IATA Travel Pass that's currently in use can then potentially expand its capabilities to enable some of these other use cases that Nick has just outlined?
Exactly so. And I think it's this paradigm shift. We're moving from a world of how do I verify some data? Maybe I put it in a QR code and I ask the passenger to present it, and that gets a bit clunky because I've got something for my boarding pass and something else for my my passenger vaccine certificate information. Instead, we give the passenger a digital wallet, and they're in control of that data, and they can see who's been sent what. And as Nick actually alluded to, but it's worth calling the point out, maybe they don't need all the information. Maybe they just need, do I have the information, yes or no? And that can be trusted. Am I over 21? Yes or no? Okay. Am I flying today? Yes or no? You don't need to know where I'm going. And so that becomes really powerful. But then I can put anything in there. I can put my lounge access in there. I can put my disruption voucher because I'm sorry your flight was late. Here's a free meal. I can put my car rental agreement in here. Back as far as 2018, we did a project with a large bank where we were able to put your driving license, passport, and bank information in your phone as a credential. And then at the point of checkout, I can share the passport with the airline, the driving license with the car rental company, and the payment information to both. And that goes down existing rails. We're not, fundamentally changing the infrastructure for those providers. But I could do all that with one tap. It's like, we need this information. I say yes. And all that information goes with one tap. And then I can receive another credential that is my car rental agreement. And it goes on and on and on. So it really is opening up a new dawn of ecosystems, of loyalty programs, of partnerships, where we're bringing down the barriers to entry. We're bringing down the technical hurdles, all the integration required. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and certainly that sounds like potentially new opportunities for retailing in new ways.
Absolutely.
Throughout the travel journey. So I guess then the question becomes, you mentioned there are some of about the systems themselves. Can existing systems be retrofitted to accommodate this potentially new world? I'm thinking about in November, we covered the news that Marriott said that it will begin using the Amadeus central reservation system, touted as kind of the newest next gen technology. I didn't see any mention of SSI in any of that. So in that example, can SSI be incorporated into existing systems at a later date?
I'll have a swing at that, and then Nick could jump in. I think this is not about rip and replace. This is about enhance and extend.
Okay.
So think of it like, in a banking example, I still have my branches. I can still do my traditional banking, but I can also have a website that allows internet banking. Okay. I think the same thing's going to be true. We're going to have our existing channels, our existing ways of contacting customers, existing apps, even online portals and so on. But there's going to be this additional way, which is going to be much more convenient, much more seamless. And so this becomes like an extra layer that can help organizations better communicate with passengers and travelers, better share data, and better receive data that can be trusted. And it means that when a passenger wants a one-tap experience, the data can be received and then passed on to the existing kind of legacy infrastructure, if you like.
Okay. Nick, did you want to add anything to that?
I might add, yes, thank you. And it may be that the passenger, the traveler, actually doesn't realize initially that they're using SSI, because what we will see directionally over the coming years is that the wallet that Jamie talked about will actually be found underneath the skin of an app, and it actually will provide much of the functionality of a travel and hospitality app, but the front end of it will still be that branded skin, and it will be the app that you see today. The app will just do less, and it will enable the SSI fundamentals that we've talked about. It will enable that data sharing. And just as an example, one of the things that isn't very well understood, we talk about SSI. Jamie mentioned it, peer-to-peer. What does that really mean? That is a one-to-one connection between the traveler and the brand they're traveling to. It is open, it is permissioned, it is permanent. It is not just for the transmission of text messages. We can put rich messaging on top of it. We can put commerce on top of it. Now, if you think of it like that, what brand wouldn't want a direct line of sight communication that is permanently permissioned and open to their best customers? So is this a rip and replace? No, it isn't. It is something that is very much additive, value additive. And the interesting thing here is that it's almost certainly most value additive for the best customer of the brand. That's where you would actually start here. And so it adds enormous value.
Can I just make one more point upon that?
Sure.
Once you realize this isn't just about data, and you open by talking about personal data and security, which is on everyone's minds. But once you change the conversation to being about this new direct connection, the passenger can turn it off whenever they want. If they're being bothered by it, it's their control. But here's the thing. I could use that to prove that it's me. So we've got one customer working on this idea of call in, log in, or walk in.
Okay.
So with that connection, we've just got rid of usernames and passwords. So I come back to the website, I scan a QR code, and it just lets me in. And then when I call the contact center, they say, "Hi, Mr. Smith. I'm just going to check it's you before we go any further." And rather than asking me for my date of birth, mother's maiden name, and my inside leg measurement, they're going to say, they're going to press a button on their screen. My phone's going to go ping, and it's going to say, "Are you on the phone to the contact center?" I say, "Yes." And I'm in. So it's going to be like this customer magic wand. And the business case for a travel provider is, I've just taken customer authentication, as it's called, from 30 seconds down to 5.
Yeah.
So this is real business benefit. And that's before we get into all the new revenue models, all the new upsell, customer lifetime value, all that stuff. So this really is disruptive innovation at the core of the value chain of the customer experience. And I think it's, it's why we're so excited about this market.
I recall, Nick, you described it as once in a generation disruptive technology.
It is once in a generation.
Hearing you both talk, I mean, it sounds to me, well, of course, this just makes so much sense. And gosh, the ability to remove some of those barriers and not have to remember passwords and all of that sounds great. Clearly, there must be some challenges to adoption. I mean, what is now the barriers, or what is any of the resistance you might be hearing? I mean, is it just a matter of time and staffing to be able to take on something new by some companies?
Awareness is probably one of the biggest barriers. It's just being aware that this capability exists, and it's in development, by others for others, and it can apply to us. And within hospitality and travel, one of the interesting, most profound things is that this technology applies to us very, very well. We are a perfect set of use cases for self-sovereign identity and decentralized digital ID. It is profoundly beneficial, and it will find its way here. And that's really why we're doing the work that we're doing now. We form an outreach into the hospitality and travel community to put into hospitality and travel terms the technology that is being developed deep down in the weeds by others, and we've been very successful at that so far, actually.
Is there any particular part of the industry where this might be more easy to take on or more difficult? I'm thinking, hotel versus air versus cruise. I don't know.
Well, it's beneficial everywhere. We've already seen it in air. The IATA Travel Pass is a good example. I think one of the places that it will actually manifest is around loyalty, the opportunity to fundamentally restructure how a travel provider communicates with their best customer and provides value to that best customer, is universal across whatever segment of the industry that you're looking at. It's not well done today. It's not highly value additive to the traveler. It is a discount channel often. We have the opportunity here to provide real value because the customer can express who they are and what they are in a trusted manner to the travel provider, who can equally then say, "Oh, I now know who I'm talking to. I know 100% this is Jamie Smith. Now, what, Jamie, would you like to buy from me? What can I sell to you?" That's a very, very different dialogue than we've been having for the last 30 years.
So we just have about a minute or so left as we're finishing up. I guess I would just ask both of you two questions. First of all, just a brief answer on beyond becoming aware, since you said awareness is the big holdup. Anything that you would say travel brands or tech suppliers should be doing to prepare for this opportunity? And then just a quick outlook, 5 years from now, will we be there? Oh no, I think we lost
Jamie's on mute while he goes.
Apologies.
There we go.
I'll jump in. So I'll answer the second piece first. Absolutely. I think it's going to happen gradually and then suddenly. Okay. I think in 5 years' time, a significant proportion of customers who are interacting digitally will do so with some kind of digital wallet, or do so with a a self-sovereign identity capability, and that's being accelerated because the EU themselves are mandating that 27 member states are going to give citizens their wallets to use in this way. And I think things they should be looking at right now is just, like all new innovation, start playing with it, understand how it works, make mistakes, and action over the theory. I think build and iterate and try things out, and that's exactly what we're doing at Avast.
Okay, wonderful. And Nick, anything to add to that?
I would just simply say wallet. Be aware of wallets. Wallets are much more than the crypto wallet that you may have or the wallet that you have on your iPhone. It is something profound. It is a travel and hospitality wallet that gives you access to your profile that's stored in the cloud and can present elements of your profile to traveler providers when you want. There's a big opportunity here, and it will shape the way travel and hospitality mobile experiences through apps look over the coming years. So this is an area that is current. There's a lot of information out there today, and come to the Hospitality and Travel SIG, and you'll meet people like Jamie from Avast, and we can help you.
Yes, and we will for sure put the link to your group when we publish the story on PhocusWire. So
I think
Jamie and Nick,
for me is to say, this is demos in days. This is not about a 3-month huge innovation project that doesn't bear fruit. This is giving it to real customers to play around with and getting real feedback.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, Jamie and Nick, thank you both so much, really helping us understand this fairly complex topic. It's really kind of exciting, and look forward to following the progress in the coming months. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Richard. Bye.